begin this week with a teen trying to change society and how it operates. That's right, she's got new ideas on how to make the world a better place by doing one simple thing. Adora Svitak is already an accomplished speaker, a published author, and as you're about to find out, not your ordinary teen. Here comes Adora Svitak. She walks with purpose. She is a writer, a speaker, and some of her ideas, controversial.
I'm 15 years old and I live in Redmond, Washington. I think that understanding me really starts with understanding who Adora Svitak was as a 3-year-old, and that's because that was the age at which I first found my voice.
And it's her voice that tries to influence and make change.
I would go to this boulder in a park nearby and I would get on top of there and start giving speeches about anything that I cared about and why I should be president.
A short time later, she was on to something else.
And around the age of 6, when my mom got me my first laptop, I was finally able to really find my voice through writing. I would write stories every day. Sometimes I wouldn't want to eat dinner because that's how deeply engrossed I would be in what I was writing.
Her first book was published when she was 7, and it wasn't self-published either. After that, she wanted to start speaking at schools and sharing her ideas with other students.
The calls that I would make when I was 7 years old were terrifying because I hated calling people on the phone. I would say, "Hi, my name's Adora Svitak. I published a book. I want to talk about reading and writing to your school. I have this lesson plan that I want to present." And most of the time there would be a little bit of disbelief, like, "Wait, you're 7? Are you kidding me?"
We often hear about adults searching for the meaning of life and for purpose, but a lot of people neglect the fact that kids want purpose and meaning in what they do as well.
Adora has been called a prodigy, but just don't say it to her face.
I personally dislike the term just because I think we think of Mozart and people that I'm not, and it also definitely limits you because it makes you think of age first instead of whatever you did, whatever you've accomplished.
For years, she's been touring the country and the world, leading lectures, giving speeches, and appearing at conferences. Her topic is literacy.
Literacy means being able to read and write, but increasingly in the 21st century it also means being able to interpret sources, being able to find bias and really realize what the truth is. This is an age of information overload, and it's really crucial for the new literacy that young people are able to digest information and figure out what's real and what's not.
She's even taken her literacy campaign to the United Nations.
A teen gets to speak in front of the United Nations by having a message that not a whole lot of people have heard before, which is kind of turning the idea of young people always learning from adults on its head and emphasizing the strengths that we have, what organizations have to learn from us.
It's sort of like the kids teaching the adults, where most of society goes the other way. Adults teach the kids.
I think that young people are underestimated, that learning needs to become more reciprocal, so we aren't just walking into class and expecting that everything comes from our teachers, that adults are willing to learn from us. I think that increasingly adults are playing a game of catch-up with young people who are extremely skilled at using the technologies we have available, and that we should really be enlisted to help instead of always being seen as the sources of problems that need to be fixed. We can really be the solutions.
As far as the old adage that wisdom comes from experience,
experience is great. I think that while we definitely need experience, we also need to balance it out with fresh, new perspectives.
Adora is always teaching and trying to help others be the best they can be. I asked for a 30-second version on how she would teach someone to write who's never written before.
I would say start with thinking about the most interesting person you can and write as much as you can about them, the interesting things that happen to them, but most importantly find conflict because that's where all suspense in stories comes from.
What made you want to get into writing?
I think it was these books that I picked up when I was little. One of my first books was a chapter book called The Bug Detective or something like that.
What happens when an adult says, "Oh, you have a bad idea"?
I would ask them why they think it's a bad idea, and if they think that it's a bad idea just because of my age, then that's not a very valid reason.
What are you trying to change?
I want to change the way that young people are regarded in society. There aren't a whole lot of very meaningful venues for us to make our voices heard about things that matter. We can maybe go online and take a poll about Taylor Swift versus Justin Bieber, but we can't do something that has real long-term impact, and that's something I want to change.
So she's young. She's not afraid to make change. She's got big ideas, but she's not perfect.
I do not get straight A's. I got an F on my last French test. I think I'm trying to change the world, but changing the world doesn't start with someone walking out and trying to solve every single problem. I think that changing the world can start with small acts, something as simple as being kind to another person in some daily way and really making sure that gets passed along.
She's continuing to push her agenda. After college, she'd like to get into politics.
She's got some good ideas. Thanks, Madison.
Yeah, you got